As humans, it is a natural response for us to resist the unknown. We are biologically wired for that. It keeps us safe. But that's why feeling stuck is such a common feeling, because it usually requires leaping into the unknown and doing something differently in order to get unstuck. Hello, my friends, and welcome to a safe space. Today I have a message to share with you about feeling stuck. But keep in mind, this message was actually originally written for myself, but I was inspired to share it with you today as if I'm speaking to you, because I am also speaking to you, but this is a message coming from myself, for myself, if that makes sense. And that is the beauty of sharing on here, because often what I need to hear is also what you need to hear as well, because we are all connected in some way. So first things first, you're not really stuck. You just feel stuck. Why? Because you've created a box and you've placed yourself in that box. You've created false barriers in your life surrounding that box because you believe from your perception that you are stuck inside that box, when in reality, that box does not actually exist. You have created an imaginary box with imaginary barriers from your fears, from your limiting beliefs, from your insecurities, from your excuses, from the things that you tell yourself. There's an entire world beyond that box. There's infinite possibilities and opportunities beyond that box. There are infinite timelines and realities that you could access if you simply changed your perception and allowed yourself to step out of that box and see beyond that box that you have created for your own self. You're projecting your own limiting beliefs, insecurities, and fears onto your reality, but reality is subjective, right? Reality looks different based off of each individual's perception, based off of their own limiting beliefs, fears, insecurities, or positive beliefs. There is no baseline reality because it varies based off of each individual's perception. Even reality is different to an animal than it is to you. Reality is different to a baby than it is to you. So the way that you are perceiving reality is entirely based off of your own beliefs about reality and your own beliefs about yourself and about your identity or your wants and desires or your fears and all of the various different things that make each individual person's experience unique and different. There are likely many solutions to get unstuck, to get out of whatever situation we feel stuck in, but we just think of reasons why they're not possible or not a solution because once again we are placing ourselves in this imaginary box. So why do we do this? What is the logical reasoning of why we would do this? I mean, it only makes sense because we are biologically wired to resist the unknown, to keep us safe, because that is how we are built to survive. Such as if a predator comes into our environment. Because that predator is not familiar, our brain sees that as a threat. So we start going into fight or flight mode, trying to survive and eliminate that threat. So of course that is a useful function because it keeps us alive in those situations, and that is exactly why we are biologically wired to do so. But this is not very convenient when probably 90% of the time we're not actually in a dangerous situation. We're just scared of the unknown. We're scared of making changes. We're scared of taking risks because we don't know the outcome. So we don't feel safe. But so often it's those changes or those risks that we decide to take despite our fears that end up making the world of a difference, that end up shifting our reality for the better and getting us closer to where we really want to be. So this is important to understand because we can't blame our natural response. So that's not something that we have to get angry at ourselves about, but it's valuable to understand that that is why we are reacting to changes in that way, because we're just scared, because we just don't know the outcome. And getting unstuck usually requires making changes. Yes, the thing that we are so scared of doing. But I'm making this video today to maybe inspire you to do what you have to do to get unstuck. Maybe make some changes, whether those are intuitive changes or calculated changes, right? Maybe there is a thought that's been persisting for a long time, that's been telling you to move to a different place, or that's been telling you to apply for a job that you don't feel qualified for. Or maybe you've had this creative idea consistently come up for you and you want to pursue it, but you've just been too scared to try. So sometimes these changes can be intuitive and we don't necessarily know where they're coming from, but they just feel right. Or other times these changes can be more calculated. Say that we have a goal of getting out of this situation that we feel stuck in, so we strategize and come up with a plan or some action steps that we can take to get unstuck. And of course, it's one thing to strategize and come up with this plan, but it's a whole nother thing to actually carry out those changes, to really actually make those changes, take those risks. And I am definitely not insinuating that this is easy to do. It's not. That's, like I said, this message is actually for myself. So this is a very understandable feeling, and no one is better than another person for being more of a risk taker. This is just something to look at and to think about. Getting unstuck is about what I would like to call unlimiting yourself. Realizing the potential that we carry as human beings, how unlimited our potential really is, and how unlimited the potential of our lives really is. Those limitations that we place on ourselves, we are creating ourselves. So we can also decide to see life in a very unlimited way, believing yourself to be unlimited and powerful and even able to do supernatural things, because it has been proven time and time again that we actually are capable of supernatural things as human beings. But that's a whole nother conversation on its own. And finally, getting unstuck is about seeing things differently. See life in many different ways, in many different forms. How can we do this? By maybe exploring and experimenting, and also talking to different kinds of people and hearing what different kinds of people have to say about whatever you feel stuck in. Maybe you feel stuck in your career, and maybe one of the reasons why you feel so stuck is because you've only talked to other people who have reinforced these same limiting beliefs to you. Maybe you have no idea that there's a whole community of people online who are making passive income, or who are making money from their creative projects, or who are talking about trading, who are making money from crypto, whatever it is, right? We can see things differently by seeing things through the lens of maybe someone else who has a completely different perspective. I thought that was going to be the last thing that I would say in this video, but there's actually another thing that just came to mind, which I feel like is also valuable. When we feel stuck, it can actually really help to make a very simple change in our life. I mean, one that's not that scary to make, just something small. Because often when we feel really stuck, it's because our life has been the same way for a long time and we're getting bored or we're getting discouraged because things aren't changing in the ways that we want them to. But something that can be really helpful is just changing one little aspect. Maybe trying out a healthier diet, or going to a class that we've never been to before, or going to an event that we typically would never go to, or making a change such as we're gonna start going on a walk every day, or we're going to buy a bike, just to change things up, just to make things feel a little bit more new. This could even be changing our hair, or our makeup, or dressing differently. Any type of little change can kind of take us out of this familiar reality that we're so bored of, and remind us that we can make any changes at any time. We can shift to a new reality at any point when we choose to. This is something that really helps me in my life personally, because I know that there's people who really like things to stay the same, but then there's people who hate when things stay the same. and they need new things in their lives to feel inspired. But sometimes this can be hard because it might mean they are always buying new things because they're trying to like fill some need within them. And I feel that I'm someone who very much gets bored with routines, with the same things all the time. Although routines can be comforting sometimes, I do find myself wanting change, just wanting newness a lot. Like when I moved into this new place, it was the most exciting feeling ever because it was completely new. This area was new, the place was new. It just felt so magical and inspiring. But after a couple months, I started to just get used to being here, and that magical feeling just kind of died out. And that's how I often feel with a lot of consistencies in my life. Even if it's like my morning routine. If I've been doing the same morning routine for a few weeks, even that just loses its magic and even starts to feel less helpful for me and less good for my mental health after some time. So I find that just making changes whenever possible really helps to get out of that feeling of stagnation and feeling stuck. So that is the message that I wanted to share with you today, and I really hope it resonated with you. If it did, then feel free to give this video a like or comment down below because that really helps support me in the YouTube algorithm and makes me feel validated and supported and inspires me to keep creating. But even more importantly, if you enjoy my content and you would like to have a safe space to come back to every week, then definitely subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you here, and I really hope that I see you in my next video. Blessings to you all.